Zambia is approaching the 2026 election, caught between two conflicting realities: high-level macroeconomic stabilization and severe household-level economic strain. Top-line indicators are stabilizing, but those numbers are failing to appease an increasingly vocal, digital-first youth population whose daily living costs remain unmanageable. The government points to modern infrastructure and energy diversification, but on the ground, local commerce faces a much harsher baseline. The kwacha stabilizes near 1930, alongside Kariba Dam generation rising to 25.28% usable storage. Next, a 300-megawatt solar tender with Norway enters the mix, establishing a 24-hour economy independent of Kariba. Despite these gains, the transmission mechanism is failing. The government maintains a suspension on fuel duties, yet high systemic costs mean macro-level stabilization has not translated into lower consumer prices at the household level. The Copperbelt remains the absolute political and economic center of gravity for the upcoming election. Operations have officially resumed at the Mufulira mine. Mapani Copper Mines is undergoing a Phase 2 recapitalization, driven by a $1.1 billion investment from the UAE. State House relies on this asset as the primary engine for its sovereign wealth strategy. This chart illustrates the administration's aggressive national production targets. It tracks the required growth from the current output of 890,000 tons to the final goal of 3 million tons of copper by 2031. Voters acknowledge the influx of foreign direct investment, but they demand that those mining royalties translate into immediate, visible infrastructure improvements on the ground. In response to mounting public pressure, State House is testing a new communication strategy. During a recent cathedral address, President Hakainde Hichilema made a direct personal appeal, acknowledging the severe toll of economic pressure on citizens. Mental health is now a central political issue, driven by a documented spike in suicide cases tied to the rising cost of living. Independent media and voters view this rhetoric with caution. They see the shared commiseration as a strategic buffer and demand concrete policy solutions instead. There is a massive demographic shift away from state-run television networks. The youth electorate now relies entirely on digital platforms for their information. This bar chart displays audience trust across media platforms. It highlights a steep decline in reliance on traditional broadcasters like CNBC, with trust shifting heavily toward independent digital podcasts, which act as real-time accountability mechanisms against corruption. Because these digital platforms instantly highlight administrative shortcomings, the digital space is the unavoidable battleground for the 2026 youth vote. Billions of dollars in mining capital and green energy initiatives offer no political armor if basic household survival remains threatened. The administration has exactly 2 years. They must ensure the macroeconomic recovery bridges the gap to the Zambian household, or face total rejection at the polls.